There is a world where a single cigar costs more than a house, more than a Ferrari, and in one case, more than most people will earn in an entire lifetime. One single cigar, wrapped in gold leaf, studded with real diamonds, and gone in an hour. So what could possibly justify that kind of money for something that turns to ash? Today we are counting down 8 cigars from the least expensive to the most absurd price tag ever placed on a single stick. And by the time we reach number 8, every cigar before it will feel like pocket change. Number 8. Gurkha His Majesty's Reserve. A cigar infused with an entire bottle of Louis XIII cognac. $750 per stick. In 1989, a young man named Kaizad Hansotia got drunk on a beach in Goa, India, wandered into a small hut where a man was selling cigars, and bought the entire inventory along with the brand name for $149. He knew nothing about cigars. He sold luxury watches for his father. That drunken impulse buy became Gurkha Cigars, a company that now produces 12 million cigars a year. But the cigar that put Gurkha on the map was not one of those 12 million. It was this one. The wrapper is a 15-year-old Connecticut Maduro. The Dominican binder and filler are aged 12 years, and then the part no other cigar maker in the world does. An entire bottle of Louis XIII, a cognac that retails for over $1,200, is infused into a single box of 20 cigars. The result is a smoke that opens with deep, woodsy warmth and finishes with a sweetness that has nothing to do with the tobacco. Gurkha makes fewer than 30 boxes a year. You cannot walk into a store and find one. You pre-order years in advance, and when your box finally arrives, it costs $25,000. Hansotia's clients include Russian billionaires, Middle Eastern royalty, and Fortune 500 executives. Gurkha even produced a special run for a United States presidential inauguration, from $149 on a beach to $25,000 a box. That is where this list begins. Number 7. Trinidad Fundadores' 55th anniversary. The first cigar in history to retail above $1,000 per stick. $1,160. And that is for the standard edition. There was a time when money could not buy a Trinidad at any price. Not because it was expensive, but because it did not exist for sale. Trinidad was created in Cuba in 1969 for one purpose only, as a diplomatic gift for foreign heads of state visiting the island. When Cigar Aficionado's editor Marvin Shanken asked Fidel Castro about Trinidad in 1994, Castro smiled and said he did not know about that cigar. He was lying. He knew exactly what it was. He just was not going to let anyone buy one. Trinidad became available to the public in 1998, but the 55th anniversary took it somewhere no cigar had ever gone. Each Fundadores was aged for a minimum of 10 years, then placed inside a humidor designed by French luxury house St. Dupont, modeled after the haute couture travel trunks of Louis Vuitton and Goyard. 55 cigars per humidor. Only 1,000 numbered humidors in existence. The smoking experience matches the presentation. A decade of aging produces a profile where wood, cocoa, coffee, and spice blend into something that seasoned smokers describe as impossibly balanced. But the real headline was the price. French fashion designer Sharaf Tadger, the founder of Casablanca and a lifelong Habanos collector, created 55 exclusive humidors that pushed the cost to over $3,000 per cigar. Elite Traveler wrote that nothing had ever crossed the four-figure line before. Trinidad crossed it first. But crossing $1,000 per cigar was apparently just the beginning, because the next entry on this list does not come from Cuba, Nicaragua, or any country most people associate with tobacco. Number 6. The King of Denmark. $4,500 for a single cigar. For 250 years, the Danish West Indies, what we now call the United States Virgin Islands, belonged to the Kingdom of Denmark. The king's ships brought Caribbean tobacco back to Danish royalty as a luxury reserved for the court. In 1813, the King of Denmark authorized the first cigars to be rolled officially in Copenhagen. King Christian IX was such a devoted cigar smoker that he sent boxes as personal gifts to dignitaries across Europe, including his own grandson, Tsar Nicholas II of Russia. 2 centuries later, Danish cigar artist Jan von Vistisen built a brand around that heritage and created something the cigar world had never seen. The King of Denmark is 9 inches long, hand-rolled from a rare proprietary blend, encrusted with Swarovski crystals, wrapped in 24-karat gold leaf, and embossed with the buyer's own name or corporate logo. Every cigar is numbered and signed by the master roller. Only 30 are made per day, because each one is essentially a piece of wearable art that you set on fire. The tobacco itself delivers notes of oak, cedar, leather, and spice. But the experience is less about flavor and more about holding something in your hand that was made exclusively for you, by name, and will never be made again. The cigar comes inside a Scandinavian-designed humidor topped with a 24-karat gold-plated sterling silver crown. The humidor alone costs $8,500, and no two King of Denmark cigars on earth are identical. Cigar Journal rated the Regal blend at 91 points, proving the tobacco inside is not just decoration underneath the gold. Number 5. Cohiba Behike Beak 58, roughly $11,500 per cigar at auction. If you follow cigars at all, you have heard the name Cohiba, but the Behike is something most smokers will never see in person, let alone light. It exists because of a leaf that most tobacco plants refuse to produce. The medio tiempo grows above the ligero position at the very top of the plant. Only 5 to 10% of plants ever develop it. You cannot cultivate it on purpose. You plant, you wait, and you hope. That unpredictability is what separates the Behike from every other Cohiba ever made. The BHK 52 was named Cigar Aficionado's Cigar of the Year in 2010. Jay-Z has been photographed with one. LeBron James started with beginner cigars and graduated to the Behike as his palate evolved. Spanish golfer Miguel Angel Jimenez smokes 4 or 5 Behikes a day and once said you cannot enjoy them if you rush them, and you cannot enjoy life if you rush. Reviewers describe the profile as layers of dark chocolate, espresso, toasted nuts, and aromatic wood that evolve across a 90-minute smoke. But the 58, the newest and largest size, announced at the 2025 Festival del Habano in Havana, went further than retail. A humidor containing 400 Behike cigars, sold at auction for 4.6 million euros, roughly $11,500 per cigar. 1,400 guests in tuxedos and evening dresses watched the gavel drop. The band now carries an NFC chip, because at this price level, counterfeiting is not a risk, it is a certainty. The next cigar on this list was not bought by a collector or a head of state, it was bought by an 18-year-old. Number 4. Regius Double Corona, $52,800 for a single cigar. In 2009, a young investment banker at Barclays Capital in London quit his job. He was 28, he had worked in finance for a year and a half, and he hated every minute of it. His name was Achille Capassi, and instead of trading bonds, he decided to make cigars. He founded Regius, which is Latin for king, in London and started blending for smokers who had grown up on Cubans and wanted something that could stand beside them. But the Double Corona was not just a cigar. It was an experience that has never been repeated. In 2013, a businessman named Callum Jones walked into Davidoff of London and paid $2,800 for one stick. For that price, Jones received the cigar itself, a 7 5/8" medium-bodied smoke with a smooth, sweet profile, plus a first-class flight to Nicaragua, a private guided tour of the Regius factory with Capassi personally, and 1,000 custom-rolled cigars blended to Jones's exact preferences with his name on every band and his own custom boxes. If Capassi liked the blend, he would add it to the permanent Regius range. Capassi personally lit the cigar for Jones at the point of sale. Jones was 18 years old at the time. The Regius Double Corona is available at exactly 3 locations on Earth: Nat Sherman on 5th Avenue in New York, Mandarin Oriental in Hong Kong, and Davidoff of London. Regius later earned a spot in Cigar Aficionado's top 25 in 2017, proving the tobacco was serious long after the headlines faded. Number 3. Gran Habano Number 5, El Gigante, $185,000 for a cigar that was never supposed to be sold. The Rico family traces its tobacco roots to 1920s Cuba, where Guillermo Rico's grandfather grew dark tobacco by hand. After leaving the island in 1961, the family rebuilt in Honduras and opened their factory in Donley in 1998. George Rico, the 4th generation, grew up watching his grandfather and father harvest tobacco and roll cigars in their home. In 2010, George and his father built something for the Ipsy PR trade show that had nothing to do with selling cigars and everything to do with proving a point. El Gigante is the largest cigar ever made, 18.9 feet long, 3.3 feet wide, ring gauge of 1920, 1,600 pounds of tobacco, the equivalent of roughly 25,000 regular cigars, designed so that 40 people could smoke it simultaneously. It sat in a 900-pound wooden crate built to look like a steam locomotive. It was a spectacle, a world record, a conversation piece. It was not for sale. And then a private collector paid $185,000 for it. Corona Cigar Company in Orlando later displayed it in their shop as a protest against the county mayor's outdoor smoking ban. Jeff Borisovich, the owner, told Cigar Aficionado that since county employees were only allowed to smoke 4 cigars a year, it might as well be the biggest cigar in the world. That is the kind of story only this industry produces. Number 2. Mayan Sicars, $507,000 for 800 cigars, roughly $633 per stick, and they were rolled 600 years ago. In 2012, archaeologists from Tampa University were working along the coast of Guatemala when they found something sealed inside a cave in clay pots. 800 cigars from the Mayan civilization, preserved so well across 6 centuries that they could still be smoked today. The word sicar is the Mayan word for cigar, because the Mayans invented cigar making in the 12th century. When Christopher Columbus arrived in the Americas, it was the Mayans who introduced him to tobacco, and he carried their cigars back to Europe. Every cigar you have ever smoked traces its origin to that moment. For 600 years, these 800 sticks sat sealed underground while the entire modern cigar industry was built above them. When they resurfaced, a collector named Gary Liotta, the proprietor of Santiago Cigar Factory in Rochester, New York, bought the entire collection for $507,000. Sotheby's has noted them as the most expensive cigars ever purchased. You cannot buy one. You can only know they exist. Number 1. Gurkha Royal Courtesan, $1,360,000 for one cigar. Remember Kaizad Hansotia, the man who bought a cigar brand for $149 while drunk on a beach in India? This is what that $149 eventually became. The Royal Courtesan is handcrafted in Honduras and the Dominican Republic. The tobacco is sourced from the Himalayas, not Central America, not the Caribbean, the Himalayas, and the plants are watered exclusively with Fiji water. The filler is Dominican, Nicaraguan, and Brazilian longleaf with a Dominican binder. After rolling, each cigar is infused with Remy Martin's Black Pearl Louis XIII Cognac, a bottle that sells for between $165,000 and $224,000. The wrapper is not tobacco. It is 24-karat gold leaf. The band is not paper. It is encrusted with diamonds totaling 5 carats. The cigar ages for 3 years before delivery, and the people who make it never see it. Every artisan who rolls the Royal Courtesan works blindfolded, start to finish, so that touch is the only sense guiding their hands. When it is complete, the cigar is placed in a humidor with 24 individual chambers, wrapped in a custom Indonesian calfskin leather box, and hand-delivered to your door by a private messenger wearing white gloves. No one touches it with bare hands. Gurkha produces nearly 12 million cigars a year, but the Royal Courtesan exists in a category of one. It is not a cigar you buy to smoke. It is a cigar you buy because you can. From a drunken night on a beach in Goa to a $1 million cigar wrapped in gold and diamonds, Hansotia's journey is the most improbable arc in the history of tobacco. And every puff, if you ever take one, disappears into air. If money were no object and you could light any cigar on this list, which one would it be? And would you actually smoke it or just keep it? Drop your answer below. And we are fully aware there are other extraordinary cigars that belong in this conversation, so if you want me to do a second part covering those, let me know in the comments.